Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much. That's much better. As you can tell from the space, we would like this to be more of an intimate event, and we will be having a little more call and response, if you will, that this space so wonderfully supports. I'm very excited to be here. For those of you that don't know me, I'm 6 months into the job as the, I think, 4th CEO of OGC, which, as you know, we're celebrating our 30th anniversary. We have, I think, a very interesting program for you. You will not see very many PowerPoint slides. We are committed to doing that, and you're going to see more of an interaction with the panels that we have planned. And, of course, we're here to celebrate, in particular, the life and contribution of Dave Schall, who is sitting over here on my left. So, welcome, Dave, and thank you for taking that long train ride from Boston. We're obviously very, very happy to have you here. Right, so first thing I have to do is tell you that unfortunately one of our speakers, Vint Cerf, contracted COVID in the last few days, and unfortunately is not able to join us. He sends his best wishes, and we tried to convince him to do a video or a voice recording, and he simply just didn't have the energy. And so we want to make sure he's left alone. But we will follow up with Vint, because the things that he was prepared to say about OGC and the importance of OGC, I think, are important to put on video and share. So we will make sure that we do that and let you know when that video is available. I'd also like to thank Peter Bergen, who's here today to talk to you. I think you'll find his talk extremely interesting. I've known Peter for a number of years. It's always a fascinating conversation when he's here. The one upside to Vint not being here is the fact that we have some more time with Peter, and we even have time for a few questions and answers as we go through the program. So I would certainly encourage you when Peter finishes to do that, and I'll introduce him a little more later. I would also like to thank some of our newest members who are here and have traveled quite a distance. So I know that we have Mr. Kinapara Kulabali, if you just stand up for a second. Mr. Kulabali is the CEO of the National Mapping Agency of Côte d'Ivoire and have just joined as a new principal member of OGC. And we're very excited about our expansion and support for the continent of Africa and the important role that Mr. Kulabali and his organization is going to play. We're also lucky to have Mr. Fernand Ballet with us as well. Fernand has, for those of you on the UN circuit, you'll know Fernand. He's on the UNGGIM, one of the co-chairs. He's also with the Geodesy, United Nations Geodesy Secretariat. So thank you both for coming. We know how much it takes to come here, and we thank you for that. And then Engineer Asim, the Deputy President of GEOSA. Please stand. Thank you very much. GEOSA is the national mapping agency of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. They've been one of the foremost adopters of some of our latest standards and help in digitalization of their vision for a modernized economy and country and public service delivery for their people. And so I would encourage you all afterwards, when we have the cocktail hour, to mingle and come up and say hello to Mr. Kulabali, Mr. Ballet, and Engineer Asim. Please do come up and introduce yourself, please. Right. And then I think we have some antipodal visitors. Where is Dean and Marie? Where's Dean? There's Marie Wilson from Geoscience Australia, and Dean, who you're going to hear from later on the panel, Capobianco, the CEO of Geoscapes Australia. Thank you both for traveling in. One of the longest distances you can possibly travel. I think the time difference is plus 17 hours from here, just to give you an idea. So well done, staying awake, both of you. And look forward to what you have to tell us later on. I'd also like to thank our community, our members. As I've come to learn, and I'm still learning, we have amazing members who provide incredible support to us, from NASA, NGA, NOAA, USGS, and of course I'm making the cardinal mistake of listing, and then I will forget and I will upset. So for those organizations, US Census Bureau and many others, we really value your support that you've given us over these years, and also the opportunity to experiment and test our standards. So thank you all very much for being our members. And I thought I would have a second round for Ordnance Survey since they weren't able to send anybody here. So, but thank you to all our British colleagues. And I think James is here. Yep, there he is in the back from UK Hydrographic Office. So super. Thank you very much again. And then this is the first time we've attempted an event like this, and certainly in a place like this. I would like to thank my team, in particular, Christy Monaco, Tavia Cummings, and Rosie Chen, who's not here, and Micah Bruckman for all the organization around iDays. So thank you very much, team. And last but not least, in thanking all of our sponsors who help us defray the costs of putting this on. So ESRI, thank you so much for jumping in. Hexagon, Google and others, SAFE, and again, I know I'll make my mistake, but thank you all for sponsoring. I think we have Riverside Research also sponsoring us, so thank you. It means an awful lot. It does allow us to put more of these types of events on, and we'd like to do more of this going forward. So thank you all again. Right, so I had these questions that I was asked. And actually, I'm going to tee up, if I can, the PowerPoint slide, because I was sent this. So this is interesting for two reasons. One, it says fax cover. So you can date yourself by saying, I know what a fax cover is. But the second thing is, you know that was done on a Mac, right? Look at the font. It's definitely. But this is 1993, I think, and it's the call for the first meeting of the Open Grass Foundation in 1993. And we have a couple of other slides that show us the program, and there's the detailed program, and then the list of attendees at the end. And I thought, somebody sent me this, and I thought this is a nice way to start this up, because of course the Open Grass Foundation is really what helped form OGC in the early days. And I won't go into too many details because I know others are going to tell you about the history. But one thing I did find interesting is that I understand in 1987 there was a Unix-based vector software company called DeltaMap, run by a gentleman called Carl Reed. Carl, did you put your hand up, stand up? And my understanding is Dave was at MassComp at the time, and you had GRASS, which is an open source raster software that was displaying raster data for the US Army Corps of Engineers. And the ask and challenge was, could we, in a single window, overlay vectors from DeltaMap onto the GRASS raster window? And they did. And I think the engineer who did that now works for Kurt Buehler at Image Matters, or used to work for Kurt at Image Matters. Okay. So Kurt Buehler, please stand up. Another key gentleman behind the early genesis of what became OGC. And of course, for me, coming into this role, I think it's so important to look back and see where OGC has come from and why it was formed and who were responsible, because I can't possibly look forward if we don't look at what's come before us and the people that have come before us. So to Carl and Kurt, thank you both so much for allowing me to be on this platform here today and for all the work that you've done over the years. All right, so all the important things that OGC does. So when I came into OGC and I was told, you have about 44 open standards working groups, and I said, what? What are we doing? That seems way too many. Yeah, and we have 120 standards that we've done in the past, and I was sort of blown away by how much work has been done in such a variety of places. And I thought, okay, but I need something that's a little more interesting for me. And then I learned about something called MUDDI. And I was like, MUDDI? What's MUDDI? And they said, it's the model for underground assets. And I said, yeah, perfect name. It's just MUDDI. But then MUDDI got me very excited because it's this model for describing all underground assets, man-made and natural. And it's not just a model, but Ordnance Survey now has been given the responsibility of the National Underground Asset Register in the United Kingdom, which is entirely based on MUDDI, and is actually being asked to license NUAR, as it's called, globally. And so there's a direct impact of something that could have, as you can imagine, if you've done any work in your house in the States, and you have to call Miss Utility or someone similar because you don't want to dig up all of the various pipes underneath you. Imagine if you didn't have to do that. Imagine the cost savings and the money savings. So I thought that's an impactful standard. And then I learned about 3D tiles. And I learned the story of how Patrick Cozy of Cesium, Patrick, if you wouldn't mind just standing up or hand up for a second. Scott Simmons said, hey, Patrick, you need to come in and use this new community standard process we have that's more streamlined, it's going to be quicker, and you should do your 3D tile work here. And here we are, a year or so later, and we have a promulgated 3D tile standard that now Google has adopted, and I wouldn't say we had anything to do with the acquisition of Cesium by Bentley, but we'd like to think 3D tiles was an important part of the knowledge bank that Cesium built up. So thank you for all your hard work, Patrick, to you and your team on that. OGC APIs, which I learned, you've got to be careful with that one. There's a lot of history around OGC APIs. But I'm so excited about what OGC APIs can do because of the fact that machines talk to machines ever more and will do, and the efficiency around machine-to-machine communication, and how we can have standard APIs to help that. And then I thought I had learned everything, and I found out that no, we have simple features is the most successful OGC standard. Every modern GIS is based on simple features. And I said, well, there's the winner. Why is it not on our website? So if you've noticed, our website has been redone. It's now in multiple languages. Thanks to Google Translate, it's still learning. It's not quite perfect. Give us feedback, please. But the idea is to shift the website into telling more stories and more successes, including your user stories, about the impact that we're having. Because, of course, we can't lose sight of the fact that what we do has to matter. And what we do has to be impactful, and we have to help solve problems. And what OGC is for me is really about a community, a trusted community, where, if you will, competitors can come into this safe space, academics can come, government can come and say, how do we solve the problem at the lowest level in order to create something that allows us then to innovate above? And whether that's thought leadership, policy, or standards work, this is what OGC is. And I think if you talk to David afterwards, he'll tell you that that was his original vision for OGC.